Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
You are listening to the Brilliance Business Show. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. Conversations with leading experts in business. Today, I have the most incredible guest, Pete Cohen. Pete is an international speaker, life coach, best-selling author, and our topic today is inspiration all around the world. Welcome to the show, Pete.
Hey, Mark. Thank you so much. I'm absolutely delighted to be your guest here today.
I am delighted to have you. Before we get started, I'm just going to make a little disclaimer that Pete is not offering legal advice or legal assistance today. Can you elaborate on that a little bit, Pete?
Yeah, I'm just going to be sharing some of the business knowledge and wisdom that I've ascertained from studying, but also from working with probably thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. So yeah, I'm fired up and excited to share some pearls of wisdom.
Well, I'm super excited to hear your pearls of wisdom, and I think you're being a little bit modest there. I would go as far as to say you've touched the lives of millions, but let's get started with the show. Can you share with our listeners a little bit about yourself and your business and inspiring so many people all around the world?
Well, I think there's nothing better in life than when you know what you love to do and then giving yourself wholeheartedly to it. And I think we live in a world, unfortunately, where so many people do what they think they should do, maybe do what their parents told them or encourage them to do what they think is going to give them some of the trappings of life, a house, some sort of security, holidays. I think there's so many unfulfilled people all over the world. So my goal is, I'd say it's always been, Mark, it hasn't actually always been, but it has been recently, maybe over the last 3 years, all about getting people excited about who they are, the opportunity that they have, that we all have, in order to create, in order to overcome challenges, and ultimately just be happy and be fulfilled. So, I've done that with all different walks of life, as you well know, Mark. Just people like you and me, and lots of other ordinary people, and then some pretty exceptional people who are world champions in their sport, or managing directors, CEOs of very, very large organizations. And it all pretty much amounts to the same thing. We're all a bit lost, I think. We all need a bit of help. And there's nothing better than inspiring someone to be who they know that they can be. Because I think deep down, we probably all know that, we can be happier, we can be healthier, we can be more fulfilled.
You've made some great points there, Pete, and we all face obstacles, but it's how we overcome those obstacles. And we all suffer negative thinking, but working on that on a basis really does help. And I started working with you a year ago, and you've really helped me overcome lots of my challenges, my negative beliefs, and I work on it every day. So you really do practice what you preach. Can you go, sorry.
Well, no, I just going to say that, you're the reason I get out of bed in the morning. I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean, in terms of working with people like you. And I know your story. And if people listening to this don't know your story, I would encourage them to find out. Yeah, I'm starting to interview you now. What you have been through. I mean, when I first heard that story, I thought, wow, here's a person that despite everything that you have had gone through, you still want to kind of move on, and you want to do more, and your relentlessness, and also the fact that you do similar work to me in terms of speaking and coaching, that even though that's what you do, you realize just how important it is for you to be the example, for you to be practicing, what you're preaching. And I think the world needs more people like that, because children, they, when we say, do as I say, don't do as I do, they end up doing what we don't want them to do, but they follow us, they copy us. And all we need to do is to be an example to others, but ultimately to be an example to ourselves. And that's why I have so much admiration for you, Mark, in terms of, it's like a film. Watching your life is like watching a film, not like an episode of EastEnders. It's actually inspiring, seeing your life and the life that you are choosing to lead, to go from where you were to being, a world famous speaker, author, coach. It's like the world needs more people like you. Because how else? If more people don't rise up, I think we're all just going to end up watching Instagram and Facebook and not doing very much, and getting Amazon to deliver stuff to us. And I think that's why a lot of people are so dissatisfied, because they know deep down there's more to life than those things that I've just said.
And that's why your work is so important, Pete, because when I started working with you January last year, I was in a totally different place then, and it's something I have to work on every day. Yes, I'm motivated. Yes, I'm determined. Yes, I face obstacles, but it's from plugging into the mindset work, the lifestyle coaching, working on our routines and rituals. And that is why your work is so important. You're helping so many people, and you can't just pick up and choose to do occasionally. It's something you have to do consistently every day.
I think that's such a good point. And it is something where it's good to discuss it, because, when I hear you say that, I'm thinking, well, what are the things that we need to do every single day? Well, we need to go to the toilet, we need to sleep. And we know that when we don't do those things, it catches up with us. So, when it comes to our own self-improvement and, doing things, I don't know, like keeping a journal or meditating or exercising, do we really need to do it? I think we do, if we want to live a long and fulfilling, healthy life. But no one's forcing us to do that. And I think you might have heard a broadcast I did this week when I was talking about, when you're a child and you're forced to practice something. Like I wasn't forced, but I was pretty close to being forced to learning to play the clarinet. It's like, I'm not in the slightest bit interested in playing the clarinet. I like listening to madness and all music, and why would I want to play? Give me a saxophone maybe. But I was forced to do it, didn't enjoy doing it, didn't see the significance of it, so it was just boring. And I think that's why so many people, when they start something like a habit that they know is going to help them, like exercising, they give up as soon as it gets hard, as soon as they get bored. But yet you and I know that we really grow when we do things that we often don't feel like doing, and we have that wonderful satisfaction of, I did that. That was a bit difficult. It wasn't impossible, but I did it. And I know that's what you're doing, and I know that's what you're advocating to everybody, because life is so much sweeter when you have that sense of accomplishment and you're working towards something. And I think you were probably like me, that we spent a lot of our life running away from something, not running towards something. Yeah.
And also, it is hard to stick to the routines and rituals, but it's much more detrimental when you don't do them. I know if I don't do my meditation, my journaling, my visualization, my bit of exercise, my eating well, I suffer. I do stop. The negativity comes back in. So as hard as it is to stick to those rituals, it's more beneficial to do them every day to keep feeling good.
Yeah, and all the science is really unequivocal about this, that our brains favor familiarity. So many of us are familiar with ways where we unpick the progress that we make. But the flip side of that is that if you decided to get fit and you said, you know, I'll just exercise a couple of times a week, it's much less likely that you'll do that than if you said, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to do some form of exercise every day. So that becomes an absolute ritual. And I think that, you know, we do live in a time where there is an abundance of opportunity, like this opportunity here for you and I to speak like this. You know, 20 years ago, that probably wasn't possible like this, you know, and all the live technology that we have and all the things that we can do with our phones. So with this opportunity, I think comes real obstacles and real challenges, because it's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to give up. It's so easy to find excuses. It's so easy, as you said, the negative thinking to come in. But again, I think you and I and a number of people around the world have learned that we have that negativity and we'll always have it, but there's something much stronger, much more powerful that exists inside every human being. And that's something hard to put into words. You know, it's a fire, it's a determination where we really can do incredible things. What I've observed in my life is, unfortunately, that only seems to come out for most people when bad things happen, when there's a disaster. And, you know, through your challenges, I know that's when your best self came into the world. It's like you were probably faced with a few decisions about your life and what decisions you were going to make. I remember hearing your story, actually, Mark, and thinking, I wonder if he'd decided to carry on with some of those habits that he was taking. You know, why did he stop? You know, what was it that made him go, that's it, enough's enough, I'm changing my life? You know, perhaps you could tell us. I'm interviewing you now, by the way.
I think it was a mixture of bad relationships, people undervaluing me, having such low self-esteem, such low self-confidence. And then when I opened my eyes to what the world has to offer and started working on personal development, I started to work on my mindset. I started to believe that I could be somebody. Deep down, I always felt like I was somebody, but there was those insecurities still deep down buried inside of me. But then when I started working on my mindset and my personal development, the self-belief growed, and people undervaluing me gave me even more determination. So like you said, running away from things, moving away from things really motivated me to start becoming a better person.
Yeah. And you are, you know, like I said, when I see people like you standing up, because we're the heroes, right? You know, we are, you know, I come from a very privileged background, but I still had a lot of self-confidence issues. Really didn't like school. I thought it was the biggest waste of time ever. You know, it was just such a waste of time because I didn't enjoy it. The teachers weren't very inspiring, but I don't wish I hadn't gone. It's just made me appreciate, like you said, I love what you just said there about you now have an appreciation of what life has to offer you. And it's the same for me. What life has to offer me is an opportunity to do what I love to do. Now, a lot of people say, well, you're just lucky. Well, it's not lucky, is it? It's the fact that that's my decision and I've dedicated my life to that. And it hasn't always been easy. And I think that's what so many of us want. We want to wake up every day and be inspired about something that we get to do. Now, I know for you, again, you being like me, you love to be on stage and you love to present. You know, I would pay myself for that privilege. I would pay for the privilege to get up in front of and speak in front of people. Because that's when I feel most alive. I feel that's what I was put on this earth to do. So when you were saying, you know, asking me what we should call the show, I was thinking, well, you know, inspiration around the world. That's what real inspiration is, where there's something that you see that you want to do, something you want to create, a legacy you want to, and often those legacies and dreams, they do often revolve around helping other people. Which is, you know, that's what we all need to do, right? We all need to help each other, support each other. And and help hold each other's hands as we walk through this crazy thing called life.
Yes, and I will say I would never say you were lucky, Pete, because I know how hard you work. I know how early you get up, the routines and rituals that you've got, and I know you work really hard to get the results that you get. Can you tell us?
Go on. You can ask me a
No,
question.
you carry on.
Well, that's another thing I like about you, is that you're relentless, because, we look at, you want something. It's like, that's the other thing. So many people, I don't know where you get your relentlessness from, but so many people around the world, they want everything quick. And you asked me to do this a long time ago, maybe 6 months ago, and I've been putting you off. I actually thought to myself, now let's just see what he does. Let's see if he keeps asking me. Because some people, they ask once and they just give up. Because I just said no. And it's like, I'm curious, actually, just asking you, and people that are watching this, what is it that you're working towards? I'm happy to share what I'm working towards and, where I see my life going. But what about you, Mark? Where do you see everything panning out for you?
Well, I feel like I can achieve whatever I would like to achieve. I would like to do a lot more international work. Already this year, I'm going to Toronto. I'm speaking in Amsterdam. That's an exclusive for this. I'm in May, so I'm already fulfilling that part of my vision. I want a couple more books around helping others. I want audio CDs. I want to do more with media, radio. I'd even like to do television. I have got big goals, but like you say, it is always about helping others. And I want to stick to my own things that my heart calls for. So many people.
So what does your heart call for? What is it? Why do all of this? Why have big goals like that? Why put yourself in situations where potentially it might not always go well? Why put yourself out there? I'm just curious myself. Why not just carry on being a hairdresser?
So I've come from a bad past, bullying, severe drug addiction, and I've even collapsed and died. I've been given a second chance at life. I feel like I owe it to go out and share my message and be an example that you can come from any background and you can still create any reality that you would like to create.
Yeah.
Looking at me and my past, some people may find it hard to believe that I could achieve the things I achieve, and I just want to keep on being an example and inspiring people who are being bullied, inspiring people who have suffered with addictions, that there's always hope and your past does not define who you are.
Yeah, when you say that, and just reflecting on a couple of things you said before that, it's like, it's great to have big goals and dreams, right? But I think you've worked this out. I've definitely worked it out, is that it's what goes on behind the scenes in terms of not just dreaming and writing your dreams down, but like you said, it's the little things that you do every day, whether it's reading, listening, learning, applying, living well. Most people think living well can be, eating too much, drinking too much, but really living well, just not living life to an excess, but just looking to push yourself a little bit to get better. And what I've noticed, definitely with myself and with people like you, is that when you do that over an extended period of time, amazing things happen. You don't realize how much progress that you've made. In Malcolm Gladwell's book, he talks about 10,000 hours of practicing something to be really good at it, which is 1,250 days at 24 hours a day. So we couldn't do that. So you think, how long does an overnight success take? Well, people say it takes 10 years. Well, how many people do you know will apply themselves to 10 years to get better at something? Some people are fortunate and they do that in their jobs, but in many cases, the jobs that they do, they don't actually get better at it. They just do the same thing all the time. And there's something great in the cultivation of the human mind, the human body, and maybe even the human spirit, whatever that means to people, as we just grow and get better and we evolve. Because like you say, we do have that opportunity. And, I'm inspired to inspire more people like you, because I want to inspire as many people as I can, but not all the people I inspire have to know me. If I inspire you, Mark, and you go and inspire someone else, who cares that they don't know me? It's like, it's still sending out a wave of excitement, a wave of possibility. And that's why I'm more than happy to support people like you. And I will continue, to do that.
And it's about being happy with where you're at too, and being very present in the moment. And that's why journaling's great, because you do celebrate the victories and the wins of every single day. Now, if you didn't journal, you would just forget about all those victories through the day. So that's why I feel like journaling is so important too.
Well, it was, I think, Tony Robbins, who many people know of in the personal development world, saying, if life is worth living, it has to be worth recording. And the only time we really get to see our inner makings is either through some sort of scan or when we look in the mirror. But we very rarely actually really see what is going on. In fact, there's a film with Will Ferrell, and it's a film that a lot of people haven't seen. I'm just trying to remember. I think it's called Momentary Lapse of Reason. And he has got a woman in his head who's narrating his life, and it starts to drive him a bit crazy, because this woman is talking about everything that he's thinking. And it was just beautifully made, because you became aware of what he was thinking. And as you know, that's not something that we often talk about, what we think about, what we say to ourselves, which affects how we feel about ourselves, which affects our actions and ultimately who we become. And it's weird, isn't it? The voice is in our head, yet you can't hear what I'm saying to myself. Can you guess what I'm saying to myself?
I can't guess, but I know all about the little voice in the head that not many people talk about, and it's all about controlling that little voice in your head to more positives.
Yeah, and recognizing as the Romans called it, there's no such thing as new ideas, right? All these ideas that ever happened have come about through another idea. I believe that. And, the Romans believed we all had a genius, and they got that idea from the Greeks, who believed you had something in you called a daimon, an inner voice that would guide you forwards, that would eventually get you out of bed. We just spend too long listening to the voice that leads into indecision and procrastination. And that's why we have to take action, because if we don't take action, we delay this wonderful life. And I don't want to delay. I'm 49 this year, right? So I'm 50 next year, which I cannot believe it. But I am mortally aware that I am not here forever. I just know it, and I want to be inspired. And my goal is to inspire as many people as I can. And what I mean by that, Mark, is people to be inspired about who they are, what they can do, to find what they love to do, and to dedicate time to it. Like my wife, who's upstairs right now, she loves sewing. It's nothing better than doing what you love and loving what you do.
I agree totally. And Pete, can you share who your clients are?
Yeah, of course. I've worked with companies all over the world, corporates as a keynote speaker. So I've presented for over nearly 25 years as a keynote speaker. But I'm also a business coach. So I coach a number of corporate executives, CEOs, MDs, I've worked with a lot of athletes, a lot of Olympic athletes. I've worked with the Arsenal football team for 2 years, Ronnie O'Sullivan, Sally Dunnell. I have written 18 books. My newest book there's a picture of it up there behind me. It's called Inspirators, about inspiring leadership. And as much as that all might sound great to people, most of my work is done with just everyday people like you, like me, people who just are unassuming. And I think sometimes the most inspiring people are the ones you don't actually know who they are, because they don't often seek the limelight. I remember seeing something the other day where it said, if you spend your life seeking your name up in lights, you'll miss the light inside you. And I thought, yeah, that's very interesting.
That's actually a great point, Pete. It really is. I mean, I do like a little bit of attention, but at the same time, I prefer to see others happy, and I get a lot of fulfillment out of helping others. I feel like that gives me more satisfaction than being in the limelight myself.
Well, I think if you're like, again, you like me, I was very insecure for a long time, and I didn't think I was good enough. So what I craved people's recognition. Oh, he's a good bloke. Look at what he's doing. And even when I got that, it didn't hit the mark, because it's not how I felt. And it has been a journey, and it continues to be respectful to myself, to be gentle, to be forgiving. Because if we're looking for the world to tell us that we're good enough, it's people that we're looking for, I think we come out losers, because a lot of people just don't care about us. Why should they? They're too locked up in their own world. We have to learn to appreciate the person that we see. So ultimately, and this is my ultimate jumbo goal, is to inspire people to want to follow themselves. So Mark could look in the mirror and go, you know what, Mark, you're brilliant. I'm going to follow you. I believe in you. And you're the person I want to follow. And I'm sure you do that. I'm sure that's what you're working on, right?
And actually, I forgot to mention about trying to get this interview with you. I did feel at one point, I am sure he's testing me here. So I think I got that one really right. I was thinking, I'm sure he's testing me to see how good I am at facing obstacles.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something else, which is I'm really pleased that you brought that word up, obstacles. There's a book called, I think it's by a guy called Ryan Holiday, and it's called Obstacles. Obstacle is the way. And, we talk about our life obstacles. The way is the obstacle. Obstacle is the way. It's not in the way. So if Mark or Pete want to be whoever we want to be, the way to get there is the obstacle, or the obstacles that we are going to come across. I remember last year I did 2 speaking engagements quite close to each other, and they both didn't go down very well. And I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated, because I took it personally, and I kind of pride myself on doing the best that I can. But in both of these talks, I probably spoke too quickly, gave too much information, and I confused a few people. And that was a tough lesson, but it was something I needed. I needed that, because I needed to reevaluate how I was speaking and how I could speak better. So the obstacles are the way. And it wasn't that I was putting an obstacle up in your way. It's like, okay, Mark wants me to be on his show. Okay, well, let's see what lengths he'll go. Until I wasn't trying to be cruel. I was just like, okay. And then Nicola, who works with me, actually just said, Mark has now asked you a few times. And I said, you know what, Nicola? Yeah, absolutely right. Let's do this.
I absolutely love that, Pete. Pete, is there a specific moment that really stands out in your mind that led to you, Lord?
led to me. I just lost you at the end there. Led to me.
Is there a specific moment that stands out in your mind that led to you launching your business?
I think there's a few. I mean, one that a lot of people know about is, my wife. My wife was given 18 months to live 8 years ago. And my dad always told me, there's an answer to everything. And my dad has always said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And my mum has always said there's an answer to everything. So, I believe if you're good at something, you want life to test you. Now, that is a big test. Because, Mark, if you came to me and said, I've got a problem, I would either have a solution for you or I would find a solution. That's just, and I have so much evidence of professionally having done that for a long time. I love it. But when this happened, I remember thinking, oh, maybe there is nothing we could do. But just like, you know the power of coaching. I had a coach who's now passed away. I called him, I asked him, and he said, find people that are still alive, find out why. And she also said, what is she going to do when she gets better? That advice changed my life. I found a treatment in America. The treatment cost about $200,000. We went to America. The treatment worked. But the whole thing brought us together. I didn't think I was going to marry Hannah before that. It made me man up, if you like. It made me face up to a few things. And it made me look to the future. I think that was the biggest thing. Looking back now, because my coach said, what is she going to do when she gets better? And I asked her when she was better, and then she started crying because she didn't have a future. Her future was not to die. That's not a future. And I didn't have a future. I was just running away from my past. But now, through that experience and meeting a few people, one of those people I know you've met, Patty Dobrovolsky, who's a 3-time TED talker, and I'm looking at her picture above me as I speak of my current reality and my desired reality. That is the biggest moment in my life. The biggest turning point was the realizing, wow, we can picture things that we want to have happen. We can work hard at creating things. That probably was the biggest moment. That's why I set more. It doesn't really answer your question. Sorry, go on.
It really has answered my question. I just think what an amazing story, and how you've thought outside of the box and not listened to what has been told, and really researched and really determined to make a change. I think that's absolutely amazing, Pete.
Well, yeah, thank you. Because then it gets to the point where, like, this is one of the things I was thinking about you, speaking and me speaking. We think it's what we say that makes the difference, as if it's what we know. And I think it's not. That helps, of course it helps, but it's about how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about what we're saying. I remember working in Turkey for a global audience. I had them all for 2 days. There was a Japanese man and a Spanish man. They did not speak a word of English, and they did not speak a word of each other's language. They sat next to each other. They became best of friends. And after 2 days, these guys just fell in love with me. They couldn't understand what I was saying, but they felt attracted to my energy, my enthusiasm. And that's what really makes the difference. It's not what you say. It's nice. It can be nice. Like, if I say, hey, Mark, I love you, that's not the same as the emotion that is behind those words, And I do love you. I love who you are. I love what you've been through. But the thing I love about you the most is what you're going to do. And I think we should all be having more conversations like this. Men should be saying to other men, you know what? I love you. I think you're fantastic, And we should all support each other rather than doing what a lot of men do, which is, banter and making fun of each other. And look, it's not just men, it's people in general. We have this wonderful opportunity to do something magical while we're here. I could talk all night about some of this stuff.
And that's one big thing I have learned from you, Pete, is celebrating others' success. And know you're big on that, and you've really inspired me. You've really helped me to move forwards. You keep me on track. So I will say it back to you. I love you too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, look at what that word means. I suppose if you think about it, to be inspired, I've never thought about it like this. I suppose to be inspired is to love. You know, love comes from the heart. I'm actually reading a book about the heart at the moment, and you know, the heart has more neurons than the brain. So the heart is incredibly powerful. But when you come from the heart and you feel from the heart, life is just so much more emotional, so much more meaningful. We give so much credence and so much attention to what our head thinks. But my coach many years ago said to me, he asked me what the point of the mind was, and I gave him some psychological answer from something I'd studied, and he said, no, the purpose of your mind is to play tricks on you. How do you conquer your mind? He said. Again, I said, I don't know. He said, don't take it seriously. If you take what's serious in your head, it will be even more serious than what it is, and probably what it is only just an illusion anyway. It's not real. It just seems real. And even though Sigmund Freud, a lot of what he said has been discredited now, but you can't, well, you can. For me, some of the things he said, like, well, actually, it wasn't Freud, it was Einstein, apparently. Einstein that said, you know, reality doesn't exist out here. It's in here. You can do what you want. You can make your own reality. And that's what you're doing. And that's what inspiration is. Loving what you do, loving who you are, using your creative juice to think and dream big and go after something. You know, why not?
And I think when you do things from the heart, you feel good. It feels nice that you are leading from your heart. Pete,
Yeah.
You get up at 4 a.m. every morning. What motivates you to jump out of bed every single morning?
It's funny because just a minute ago when I was talking, I could hear the duck in my head going, you're quite tired, you know, but that's only because I've been awake since 4 o'clock this morning. So why do I get up at that time? It was something that happened a few years ago. I think it was something I heard someone talking about, that the morning is so quiet that there's no distraction. And as soon as the day starts properly, which is normally about 8 o'clock, is when maybe my wife needs me to do something. There's things start to happen. But for me, I want to create my life. And I know if I get up early, I can come downstairs, I can drink some water, I can start learning. I love learning. I know that seems crazy to some people. Feeding my brain with something, writing in a journal, reading a few pages of a book, then I meditate, then I've got an exercise bike behind me here, which I'm in love with. So then by 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, I just feel like I've created something. I've put my best self into the world. And I know even saying that to some people might seem so far away, so far removed. But that's where you're starting. It's where you're investing. I'm just investing in myself. And I'm so much better at what I do than what I was. And because I've done some very simple things consistently over in a period of time.
And can you tell us what sets your business apart and what unique need are you filling for your clients?
Well, as you know, I don't have one business. So I have a network marketing company that I've been in for 5 years. I have a coaching business that you know very well. I have a speaking business. What sets me apart that's a very good question. Well, I absolutely love what I do. No one can do what I do in the way that I do it because no one is me. And what also sets me apart is I want to help other people succeed so much. And I'm not saying other people don't want to do that. I'm sure they do. But in answer to your question, what is it that separates me is, I think it's the first thing I said, Mark, in that no one can do what I do because no one else is me. So I want to be the best that I can be. What I need is more people like you, and I want to compete with you. I'm looking for people. This is something I learned recently. Find people to compete with. It's not about beating them. It's about people that you can get better with. So as you get better, you inspire me to get better. Yeah.
And I would like to add, Pete, as well. I've seen the results you get with weight loss, with addictions, with myself personally, and also the humour. You don't take life seriously. You have so much fun.
Well, there's the guy. There are some great people out there that have done some amazing work, and one of them is a guy called Martin Seligman, who did some work. The godfather of positive psychology, and he's got this thing that I think you've done. It's strengthen characters. So you find your values. You don't find them. You fill in some questionnaire. And none of it is rocket science, but when I did it the first time, it said my number one virtue was kindness, fairness, then fun, and then fairness, fun, kindness. And then I've done it again recently, and it was very similar, just slightly different, but fun was number one. And my dad he was so funny. He passed away last year, and he left me with many memories. But he was such an easy person to make laugh. My wife, I make her laugh after all these years. I think, fun is, why don't we laugh more? I mean, it's like love, I suppose. It's hard to put into words, Mark, why fun is so important. What is it about being cheeky and being silly and laughing that makes, babies do it spontaneously. They just laugh for no reason at all. I've not really thought about it. You've got me thinking now, why is it so important to have fun and laugh? And why not just be miserable?
Well, I think in today's and social media, we need lots more fun. You're certainly bringing lots of fun, and people can take life so seriously, and a bit of fun goes a long way. Pete, can you tell us why your service is especially important in today's world?
Well, I think there's, what I'm talking about at the moment about inspiration. I don't think there's ever been a more important time than people to be inspired. And that word inspired means you are breathing life into yourself, and you're breathing life into where you're going. And in a world now where there's a lot of uncertainty, look, we know come April, this Brexit business, there's a lot of people who are just waiting to find out what's going to happen. It's not going to be straightforward. And we need to be inspired about something's going to happen after that. And, with jobs, loads more automation, we need to be inspired like never before. We need to come together. We need to support each other. We need to help each other, not be isolated, not be cut off from human interaction, from love, from support. So, when certain people in the world can get into power around the world and be leaders, I think we can all be leaders of our own life. It doesn't mean we're leading, an army or thousands of people. We're leading ourselves, we're leading our family, we're leading our friends, we're leading our co-workers. Let's be examples to them, and let's be inspirators, So, let's be inspired.
I absolutely love that. Community, relationships, a bit like the olden days, really, bringing it all back and supporting each other and inspiring each other to live better lives. Can you share in more details the kinds of service and products you offer to your clients?
Yeah, so, with my coaching work, I believe I I believe it to be the best opportunity for anyone to go to work on themselves, because with personal development, as we've already alluded to, it needs to be constant. So if you show up and everyone knows that you're going to be there at a certain time, it gives people a focus of, okay, I'm working towards that day and then that day. And then we have, a whole series of masterclasses that we work throughout the whole year, from best year yet to wellness to leadership, giving people the opportunity to immerse themselves in a subject for a period of time, to learn it, to get better and move on, and then to learn something else, to keep learning, to keep growing, to develop the growth mindset. So I think that's, truly unique. And as far as the speaking work is concerned, I'm a speaker that's been speaking for years, so I suppose I love getting better. So if anyone has me at one of their events, that they're not just having that one event, they're having all of the experience that I bring to that table. So, and they also got someone who truly loves what they do, which, as we know, I think is the absolute secret sauce of life.
You've made some great points there, Pete, and I graduated last year from all the masterclasses. I've started a fresh year, I've started them again, and I can highly recommend them. Really help you to move forwards in business, life, mind, spirit, health. I lost weight without even trying to lose weight. I would imagine you have all sorts of client success stories. What is one that really stands out in your mind?
Well, it's you. I know this might sound like we've kind of set this up, and it's like we're just giving each other loads of praise, which is great. There are quite a lot. I could say someone famous like Ronnie O'Sullivan, who I spent 2 years of working my life with, spending my whole life with him. 5-time snooker world champion. Father committed murder when Ronnie was 15. Ronnie had some serious drug issues. And it's great when you tell stories like that. But I'd like to more focus on people like you. Now, I don't know your whole story, but I've heard enough of it because I'm watching, I'm looking at some of the stuff that you do. I see some of the people you interview. And in answer to your question, I would say you.
Well, I'm very honoured.
Well, that's okay. You can be as honoured as you want. But yeah, you. And he said, well, why? You were someone who easily could have gone down another road, and you could be gone down a road where you're not even here anymore. But for some reason, you've decided to turn your life around, to do things that you'd say the odds are so stacked against this man becoming a coach, becoming a speaker. And that's not going to happen. That doesn't happen for people like this man here, who goes to speaker and speaking events in Holland and in Canada and does things like this and, speaks to other people. No, mate, that ain't going to happen. But no, you defied the odds. And as I said right at the beginning, the reason I do what I do is because of people like you. So that is the answer to my question.
Well, I'm not going to argue with your answer. I very much appreciate your kind words, and that couldn't have been a better answer. How do clients typically hear about you, Pete? And are there certain life moments that usually lead to them seeking you out?
Well, as you know, Mark, the world is full now of people making a noise, and it's hard sometimes to get noticed. But as you know, when you're consistent with what you do, eventually people start to take notice, especially if you're coming from a good place. I was on television for 12 years on GMTV. I had a couple of TV shows. That all kind of died a death, and it was at a time where Facebook just was coming, I think, but nothing else, So how do people find me? I think that I've got a good reputation and people still talk about me. So I think that's what I'm told. And I'm not sure that answered your question, but that was my answer.
That's a great answer, and I think people find you when they need you to, because you help with so many different things. People who need help with their weight loss and a plan that's going to, it's not even a weight plan, it's just changing your thinking and making a few lifestyle choices and long-term results. People suffering with addictions, people want to do better in business in a world full of noise. I think people find you at the right time when people need to find you too, Pete. And you work really hard. You are consistent with social media. You're very visible too.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. You know, I was doing a lot of stuff on Instagram and Facebook stories. And recently I just cut back on that because I was just thinking it can... Yeah, I'm still working that out. I'm still, because I see some people do it and I really like what other people do, but I was thinking, I don't want people to be looking at me all the time. You know, I really don't. I don't want them to be following me all the time. I want them to be following themselves. And we know that social media is very addictive because we can get people to recognize us. We can... It's crazy, you know. It's a massive issue at the moment. But there are some great things about it, like this. You know, this will go out in the social media world, and people will listen to it, probably who we don't even know, and it might inspire just one person to go and do something remarkable. And that would have made it all worthwhile.
You are inspiring them all around the world. You practice what you preach. I find your work amazing. I am a testament to your work. Is there anything we did not cover that you would like to share, Pete?
Yeah, I think there's one thing, which is that thing that whoever you are, wherever you are in the world, you know, you're not alone. You know, you're not alone. You know, people think that they are with what's going on in their head, like they're the only one, and they're not. So many people struggle, and the ones who get over those struggles and the tyranny that they often subject themselves to is to find a group, to find support, to find a mentor, and to grow. Because I think in life you literally do have two choices. You literally either grow or you die. And I think a lot of us are dying when we don't need to. We can grow. So I would say to anyone that's listening to this, if, you know, I can help you, you know, contact me in some way. If Mark can help you, Mark is someone I would encourage people to follow, you know, because he's inspiring. And we should surround ourselves with inspiring people.
Thank you for a great answer again too, Pete. And my last question for today is, people want to reach out to you, people want to contact you, if people want to get involved in your product services, your coaching programs, what's the best way for people to reach out and follow you, contact you?
So on Instagram, Pete Cohen _. If people want to see a bit more about the work that I do, they should go to this website, MI365 Elite. That's MI365 Elite.me, and then /case-study. So that's MI365 Elite.me /case-study. That will give people an opportunity just to see my take on coaching and what is possible.
Thank you so much for being my guest today, Pete. I've really enjoyed interviewing you.
I enjoyed it too. You know, it was a real privilege, and I thank you for the opportunity for letting me reach out to the people that follow you.
Thank you again. You have been listening to the Brilliance Business Show with your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. Conversations with leading experts in business. Today, I've been speaking to Pete Cohen, an international speaker, life coach, best-selling author, and our topic has been inspiration from around the world. Thank you for listening. Until next time, goodbye.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.